A white police officer orders his police dog to attack a black girl in the park, thinking there will be no consequences. But little does he know, the girl's father is the police captain, and everything is about to change. Sign up now so you don't miss the upcoming events. The gentle morning sun spread across the park, bathing everything in a golden, shimmering light. Joyful laughter echoed, families relaxed on picnic blankets, joggers moved rhythmically along the paths, and young people with bright smiles enjoyed the fresh air. A light breeze carried the scent of freshly cut grass, making the morning air cool and refreshing, painting a perfect picture of a peaceful morning. But for Officer Kevin Harris, a white police officer, all of this only made him feel out of place. In his neat police uniform, Kevin didn't blend into the scene. He walked along the trail with his loyal police dog, Rex, deep in thought. What filled his heart wasn't serenity, but a simmering unease. Everyone here seemed too carefree, not worried about the order or the rules that Kevin had to enforce every day. They didn't realize how much effort it took to keep everything under control. And that irritated him. While patrolling, Kevin's eyes inadvertently fell upon Sarah Williams, a young black woman in her early 20s who was cheerfully strolling on the lawn, listening to music with headphones. Sarah's soft laughter mingled with the quiet atmosphere, and it stirred up Kevin's discomfort once again. In his eyes, the young woman seemed too relaxed, too free, igniting a feeling of unease within him. She doesn't belong here, Kevin thought. Watching Sarah's every move, the discomfort inside him began to morph into a simmering anger. Sarah was just a young person enjoying the morning like everyone else. But in Kevin's mind, her presence had triggered unconscious biases. The girl with dark skin and a carefree demeanor seemed completely at odds with what Kevin thought should be in the park that morning. Rex, the sleek police dog, began to sense his owner's shifting mood. His ears perked up, his sharp eyes locking onto Sarah as if awaiting a command. The leash in Kevin's hand tightened slightly, and a dangerous thought began to form in his mind. A thought he didn't question or hesitate over. Kevin looked at Sarah, his grip on the leash firm. In that moment, all the peacefulness around him seemed to vanish from his mind. A single thought dominated his consciousness: she doesn't belong here. Rex let out a low growl, ready to act on command. She doesn't belong here. The thought repeated in Kevin's mind like a silent order, propelling his actions. His hand clenched even tighter on Rex's leash. And for a moment, everything was silent, broken only by his own breathing and the dog's tense gaze. The unease within Kevin erupted into a decision he didn't second guess. Sarah needed to be controlled. The black woman with that relaxed attitude made Kevin feel like he was losing control. And for him, that was unacceptable. Sarah has no idea what's about to happen, Kevin thought. She continued her stroll, humming softly to the music in her headphones, completely unaware of the danger approaching. Sarah tripped on a small root and stumbled, but quickly regained her balance. Continuing forward, her eyes still ahead, Kevin gritted his teeth. Go, Rex. His voice was low and cold. His command was just enough to trigger the police dog's instincts. Rex tensed, his eyes locked on Sarah with increasing aggression, just waiting for the order. Rex was ready to spring like lightning. Kevin loosened his grip on the leash, and Rex immediately lunged towards her. From a distance, people began to notice the situation, and shouts started to echo from the crowd. A few people ran closer, but were held back by the dog's aggression. A woman sitting on a nearby bench gasped in horror, quickly pulling her child closer. Joggers stopped, pulling out their phones to record what was unfolding before their eyes. Amidst all the chaos, Officer Kevin Harris stood at a distance, observing everything with a cold, emotionless expression. He made no move to help Sarah, nor did he command Rex to stop. Instead, he simply stood there, his icy gaze fixed on the scene before him. In his mind, this was just a small lesson for the young woman, to show her that not everyone could act freely and carelessly in a space he was responsible for. Amidst the cries and Rex's terrifying growls, Sarah lay on the ground, her body trembling with fear. The crowd continued to gather, but no one dared to approach, afraid of the aggressive police dog. Just then, from afar, a powerful and angry voice rang out, shattering the chaotic atmosphere. Rex, stop immediately. David Williams, Sarah's father, appeared like a storm, rushing towards the scene with eyes full of fury and fear. He was a police captain in the area. In an instant, the peaceful park erupted into chaos. Rex tore through the air with incredible speed, his powerful legs tearing at the ground, sharp teeth bared as his ferocious barking shattered the silence. Anya startled and turned at the growling sound. But it was too late. The relaxed expression on her face vanished in a heartbeat, replaced by sheer terror. The large dog closed the distance in seconds, her headphones flying off as Anya's eyes widened in fear, her legs freezing in shock. She wanted to scream, but the cry caught in her throat. In that moment, Rex was upon her, knocking her to the ground with a forceful leap. Anya fell, her body trapped beneath the dog's claws and teeth. A menacing growl rumbled from Rex's throat as he stood over Anya. His cold eyes locked on his target. Anya burst into tears, her sobs and cries for help echoing weakly in the air that had moments before been filled with laughter. From afar, people began to realize what was happening, and shouts started to come from the crowd. A few individuals ran closer, but were deterred by the dog's aggression. A woman sitting on a nearby bench gasped in horror, quickly pulling her child close. Joggers stopped, taking out their phones to record the unfolding scene. Amidst all the commotion, John Miller stood at a distance, observing everything with a cold, emotionless expression. He made no move to help Anya, nor did he command Rex to stop. Instead, he simply stood there, his icy gaze fixed on the scene before him. In his mind, this was just a small lesson for the young woman, to show her that not everyone could act freely and carelessly in a space he was responsible for. Amidst Anya's cries and Rex's terrifying growls, Anya lay on the ground, her body trembling with fear. The crowd continued to gather, but no one dared to approach, afraid of the aggressive police dog. Just then, from afar, a powerful and angry voice rang out, shattering the chaotic atmosphere. "Rex, stop immediately." David Williams, Anya's father, appeared like a storm, rushing towards the scene with eyes full of fury and fear. He was a police chief in the area. David couldn't believe his eyes. His daughter was on the ground, being attacked by a police dog, and none other than Officer Kevin Harris, one of his own officers, was standing by, watching indifferently from a distance. David roared with all his might, his voice echoing across the park. "Kevin, call Rex off immediately. Stop it." Despite his overwhelming rage, David managed to hold onto a sliver of reason. Knowing he had to act fast to save Sarah, Kevin slowly turned his head towards David, a flicker of confusion crossing his eyes. He knew David Williams was the local police captain, someone with far more authority than him. But instead of immediately ordering Rex to stop, Kevin remained still, though his hand trembled slightly as he heard David's voice. "She was acting suspiciously," Kevin mumbled, trying to justify himself, but his words only made the situation worse. Kevin had absolutely no idea that Sarah was David's daughter. David had no more patience for explanations. He sprinted towards Sarah, forcefully pulling Rex off of her with incredible strength. David grabbed the police dog by the collar, and with a sharp, commanding order, Rex finally backed away, ceasing his barking. David quickly knelt beside his daughter, pulling Sarah into his arms, checking to see how badly she was hurt. Sarah was still trembling and tears streamed down her face, seeing her father. She immediately clung to him, sobbing, "Dad," her voice choked with the fear she had just experienced. David held his daughter tightly, feeling her heart pounding rapidly in her chest. "I'm here. You're okay," David whispered, his voice gentle but filled with protective strength. David's entire body shook with anger. Once he was sure Sarah was safe in his arms, he slowly stood up, his eyes blazing with fury as he turned towards Kevin. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" David yelled, his voice now the voice of an enraged father and a powerful police captain who couldn't accept the abuse of power he had just witnessed. The crowd around them fell silent, but a wave of outrage began to spread, with many people recording the entire incident on their phones. Kevin stood facing David, but now he could no longer maintain his previous composure. His hands trembled as he gripped Rex's leash, unsure how to react to David's fury. In that moment, Kevin realized he had made a grave mistake, not only by unleashing his dog on an innocent person, but also because that person was the captain's daughter. Officer Kevin Harris, Lieutenant Sarah Thompson declared, her voice cold and resolute. Your actions constitute a serious and unacceptable abuse of power. The board has reviewed all the evidence and testimony. Therefore, we have decided to permanently revoke your badge and terminate your employment with the police force. A soft thud echoed in Kevin's chest, as if a heavy stone had just fallen. He stared blankly at Lieutenant Thompson, his ears ringing, the words seeming to come from a great distance. No way, he mumbled, his voice losing its strength in shock, desperately clinging to a faint glimmer of hope. Lieutenant Thompson cut him off, her gaze unwavering. Your justifications have been noted, Officer Harris. However, your actions have crossed all permissible boundaries. Furthermore, she continued, her voice hardening, we will be forwarding the entire case file to the district attorney's office. With the clear evidence of assault and abuse of power, you will face serious criminal charges. Kevin's face turned ashen, cold sweat beading on his forehead. He felt as though his entire world was collapsing beneath him. So many years of dedication, so much effort building his career, all gone up in smoke in a single, misguided moment. I was wrong, Kevin whispered, his voice filled with regret and despair. Please, just give me one chance. David Williams sat listening to the verdict, his face still etched with anger, but deep within his eyes, a flicker of something akin to satisfaction appeared. The permanent dismissal of Kevin Harris was a significant step, an acknowledgement of the pain his daughter had endured. When Lieutenant Thompson mentioned the possibility of criminal prosecution, a resolute expression hardened David's features. This wasn't just about punishing Kevin, it was also a stark warning to anyone who might consider abusing their authority and condoning harmful prejudices. Justice, though the path to it was arduous, had finally begun to be served. News of the severe verdict against Officer Kevin Harris spread quickly, causing shockwaves within the police force and the community. It sent a clear and powerful message about zero tolerance for abuse of power and racial bias. Kevin Harris had paid a heavy price for his prejudiced and thoughtless actions. His career was shattered, his reputation ruined, and an uncertain legal future awaited him. This story would forever serve as a painful reminder of the responsibility and ethics expected of those who wear the uniform of law enforcement. The racial bias and abuse of power by Officer Kevin Harris had severe consequences for Sarah Williams and for himself. Kevin's cruel actions exposed troubling issues within the police force. David Williams's determination in demanding justice demonstrated the power of what is right. Ultimately, Kevin paid a heavy price for his mistakes by losing his career and facing legal repercussions. This story serves as a stark reminder of the responsibility and ethics of those who enforce the law. Let's spread this meaningful story together with everyone. This video not only depicts a challenging journey but also conveys profound human values of kindness, sharing, and resilience. Every view and every share from you will contribute to spreading goodness, igniting the flame of hope, and together building a fairer, warmer society.